Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Mr. Toots, and this is Golgari Hexmage Aggro. This Vampire Hexmage Toolbox deck is a deck I've played on the request of Mr. Toots a couple times over the years. It's a deck that I think is actually really good and kind of almost there. It's quite competitive, even if it's not quite tier 1. Vampire Hexmage is the anchor here. 2 on first strike, sacrifice this, remove all counters from target permanent. That can do stuff like take all the impending counters off Overlord of the Baelmerk, which also, incidentally, when it attacks, gets back Vampire Hexmage, so you can do more cool stuff. Invasion of Ikoria. This is a Green Sun Zenith kind of variant. You can get a creature, any non-human creature with mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield. And the back of this thing, if you defeat the battle, is an 8/8 that can deal damage as though it wasn't blocked. Well, your whole deck. It lets your whole deck do damage as if it wasn't blocked. And battle counters, whatever they're called, are counters. I don't actually know the game term. Battle points. Whatever. That 6 in the bottom right of this Invasion of Ikoria can be removed from Vampire Hexmage. So this is a 4 mana 8/8 reach, functionally unblockable. Vampire Hexmage can also take the counters off of Emperor of Bones, so it can bone again. And Emperor of Bones, great with Overlord of the Baelmerk. We've seen that in a bunch of shells. We're in a period of Modern where Chalice of the Void is now a card that's in the top tier thanks to Eldrazi-tron. You can just set any Chalice of the Void to 0 with Vampire Hexmage. Ugin is a big part of those decks. You could kill any Planeswalker with this because you take the loyalty counters off it just dies. Vampire Hexmage, very cool toolbox card. It even kind of double combos with the new innovation to the shell, Moonshadow. This card did not exist last time I played this deck. Moonshadow has shifted this deck from a mid-range toolbox deck to an aggressive toolbox deck. Moonshadow works great growing bigger with the baubles, the fetch lands, all this other stuff we're doing. Vampire Hexmage can also just slurp all the counters right off it. Instant 7/7. Turn 1 Moonshadow, turn 2 Hexmage. They're dead in 3 hits. That's a line the deck can take versus some decks that aren't good at removing a big creature. Or, of course, it grows naturally while you sack Hexmage, or you impend Overlord, some stuff gets milled, Moonshadow gets bigger, you Hexmage the Overlord, Moonshadow gets bigger from Hexmage dying, you attack with the Overlord, mill some stuff, Moonshadow gets bigger, gets back Hexmage, which makes Moonshadow bigger again. Just everything makes Moonshadow happen. I've really enjoyed this deck every time I've played it, and I'm excited to play it again. Let's do it. This is Golgari, Hexmage, Shadow, Aggro. I'm on the draw in round 1. My hand has a lot of lands, but I think it's okay, because I have Bauble plus Fetch land. Fetch can Surveil. I also have turn 1 Nethergoyf, which Malevolent Rumble grows. I'm going to Bauble my opponent first, see if I can get some info about what they're up to. Faithful Mending. All right, we're playing against Goryo's. This is probably a tough game 1. That would be my guess. Nobody else is playing that card. Okay, what's my plan here? My deck has Thoughtseize in it. If I catch them with their shields down, my Emperor of Bones could eat their creature they're trying to Goryo. But it's hard to catch them slipping when Faithful Mending's an instant, and so is Goryo's. Guess I just have to hope their hand is a little bit clunky. Milled over an Ephemerate. I drew Mortuary. Psychic Frog. Yeah, there's that guy. Hexmage can take all the counters off of that. All right, well, I found a Thoughtseize, though jamming it into Psychic Frog doesn't feel great. But also them just discarding Atraxa to Psychic Frog and then Goryoing it back next turn feels bad too. I suppose I will see some thoughts here. Ephemerate Mending Solitude. Okay, so I've avoided a Solitude scam here. Do I care about a Solitude scam more than I care about Faithful Mending? Mending having flashback is so annoying. I suppose I'll take the Solitude. If I attack with Nethergoyf, they'd have to discard 2 cards to save Frog and 3 cards to beat it. Discarding 3 cards here is kind of a beat for them. And I know I can get my Goyf back next turn. I'm going to attack before I make my land drop. I know that playing the Surveil land could make Goyf bigger, but it also gives up information of, like, what if I second main Fatal Push? Like, they don't have to think about that if I play a tap land first. Okay. They want a party. That's fine. I invite the party. Discarded Plains. Discarded Ephemerate. All right, you want to win the fight or you just want to touch tips? All right, we're touching butts. Okay, Frog has defeated my Goyf, and now I'm looking for a removal spell. That will do it 2 turns from now, except it won't, because Frog can jump and exile the Solitude anytime. Opponent said bold in the chat. I don't know, your hand is Flooded Strand. What do you want from me right now? You're a combo deck. I'm going to dump the Bone Zone, and I have Overlord that can pick up Goyf next turn, and then we can party. All right, Frog's coming in. There's the Strand. And look at me, drawing Fatal Push. My god, what madness it was to attack with that Nether Goyf and get 3 cards out of my opponent's hand. Okay, Forest, and I'm going to impend Overlord. Moonshadow, Troll of Khazad-dûm, Nether Goyf, Emperor of Bones. I think I actually want the Bone Zone. And if my opponent flashes back Faithful Mending in the end step, I'll take that opportunity to Fatal Push the Frog. Otherwise, I'll wait for combat or whatever. Or probably the upkeep's the time to do it. You just have to hope they haven't drawn Spell Pierce in 2 random draws. Okay, there's the Mending. I'm going to let this resolve. Let them think they have a Frog when they finish resolving this. Fatal Push Frog. All right, they did find an Atraxa. Let's hope they didn't also find a Goryo's. Disappointing. Okay. Is there also an Ephemerate? Okay, there's not also an Ephemerate. There is a second Goryo's and a bunch of monsters. They took Goryo's, Solitude, and Delta. And there's the Delta. Okay, so there's nothing to Goryo in their graveyard right now. I'm at 4. Assassin's Trophy is actually pretty nice. I haven't milled my basic lands. I can go to 3 and still have access to all my stuff. All right, pre-combat Bone Zone. Move to combat. Can we get there? Or am I getting Solituded immediately? All right, I'll take your Solitude, please. And I'm just going to put that in the Bone Bank. I should probably actually fetch first so I don't lose my ability to activate Emperor to an instant speed removal spell. Shadowy Backstreet. Please don't get a free Entomb of a real monster here. All right, Marsh Flats to the bin. Blue to Delta. So Hardcast Solitude is on the table for them here. If they Solitude, I'll Solitude in response, and then nobody has anything. Okay, tap land. Still high rolling for a monster. Dumped an Ephemerate. Prismatic Ending. Okay. Well, that's just gone. Putting Solitude into play until end of turn doesn't really do anything. I guess I could have exiled my Emperor and gained 4 life. Is that better than... maybe that was worth it. All right. I didn't think of that until it was too late. But look, there's more. Well, my opponent can hardcast Solitude now, and I don't have a clean answer to it. I could hit them with a Frog real quick. I could also Malevolent Rumble and see what's cooking. I'll do that. It's a bunch of lands are my options. Disappointing. I could cast Nether Goyf out of the graveyard. If I play the Frog, I kind of want to do it right now, so I at least get to draw a card. That puts me to 2. Guess I could draw with Nurturing Peatland as well. I think I'm actually going to play another Goyf. A 5/6 Nether Goyf. That's probably worth Solituding. Yeah, I do wish I had gained 4 life last turn. That was sloppy. Opponent holding Solitude till combat. There. Thoughtseize. Well, here's the swamp you know about. I'm just going to go to combat. If I get 5 damage through, that's cool. If I don't, then Thoughtseizing forces them to just do their Solitude thing first. A Solitude, I go to 8. And Emperor of Bones can't wake up right now. Thoughtseize. Well, Goryo's, another Solitude, and Atraxa. Well, I'm not going to take Atraxa, that's for sure. Land, creature, sorcery, instant. Other Nether Goyf's back, and it's bigger than Solitude. Overlord wakes up next turn. Ooh. Spider-Man. This enters and becomes a copy of something it exiles from the graveyard, except it's 4/4, so this is going to be a Solitude. Oh, wow. They made Psychic Frog. That's so good for me. Nice. All right, well, that's huge. I'll just Solitude that and move on with my life. Or no, Frog. I have to trophy the Frog. Shit, all right. Because the Frog can jump and exile the Solitude. I do have to actually act on that. which also puts them 1 mana away from casting Atraxa if there's a fetchable green source in the deck, and they do tend to play 1. Okay. Bone Zone pre-combat. Beginning of combat, exile that Solitude. Or is Kavero better than Solitude? Yeah, because this is also Graveyard Hate. It could be Solitude if I want it to be, but it's also Graveyard Hate if I want it to be. I'll take that. Something's happening in response. Oh, that's a fucking legend. That's so cool. Wow, what a cool trick. Yeah, didn't clock that at all. All right, so that'll be Solitude. Well, that's Goryo's gone. I like that. Targeting my Emperor of Bones. I'll gain the extra life this time. Okay, that's gone. And I think, or I have a 5/5 that's going to be on defense here. Oh, but you have a double block. But do I care? What does Goryo's do? It exiles at the beginning of the end step. So if I attack and you block, then Spider-Man's back in the graveyard. I actually don't want that to happen. I'm just not going to attack this turn. I think I would like to draw a card with Nurturing Peatland. And I drew another Peatland. Okay. Overlord wakes up. Kavero, Spider-Man gets exiled. And I am in the business of fading a forest. Okay, Flooded Strand. Do they actually have an untapped forest to get here? A lot of them are fetch lands. All right, yep, just casting Atraxa. We've reached that phase of the game. I can still grind through this. It's possible. Yeah, so taking Spider-Man was definitely... I guess it wasn't definitely a mistake. It didn't work out for me, but if I target Solitude instead, they could do the exact same play. Yeah, that was just a cool card they had access to. All right, Teferi, Prismatic Ending, Force Negation, Atraxa, Watery Grave. All right, we're looking for big answers to Atraxa. What do we got? It's not that. What's in my deck? I've used my Assassin's Trophy already. I've used 2 of my opponent's own Solitudes already. We might be out of juice here. Eat land, draw a card. Not helping. And I'm going to have to send Overlord into the void here. And it whiffed. All right. Okay. I ramped them 1 with that Assassin's Trophy earlier, and I did miss that Kavero's a legend for Goryo's, though I couldn't really play around it even if I did know. Soulless Jailer definitely for this matchup. Pick Your Poison is interesting. That does remove Atraxas from play. There's a lot of graveyard hate here. But like we saw, I didn't lose to the graveyard. They did have the reload on Atraxa, which was obviously like a nice draw 3, deal 7 to you. But I lost to Hardcast Atraxa ultimately in a game that I otherwise had under control. For what it's worth, I think them discarding 3 cards to that Psychic Frog early was a huge mistake. Like at 18, you can just take 3 damage and then keep your hand. As if they had Ephemerate for that Atraxa when they did it, which is one of the cards that was discarded to Frog, they just win on the spot. I think that's just not great assessment. A Haywire Might, you're not my guy here. Fatal Push, yeah, that's good against Psychic Frog. Vampire Hexmage, yeah, if I was hitting harder, if I was able to Hexmage and Overlord sooner, that would have been pretty good. Emperor's one of my best cards. All right, I don't think I'm going to have room for Pick Your Poison, because where am I even going to get these other cards in first? Even Abrupt Decay, killing frogs and Bone Zones is pretty nice. I think I can go lower on Hexmage. Am I a control deck or an aggro deck here? Like, do I think Moonshadow will actually kill this opponent? Prismatic Ending's a hell of a card. Yeah, I think I'm going to bring in this Graveyard Hate and just be a little more mid-range. All right, I'm trying this. I like my hand. I like basically every part of my hand. I don't like that I have 2 Nurturing Peatlands. That's the part of my hand I don't enjoy that much. This could be a swamp, right? There's no reason to take extra damage. I'm almost a mono black deck. A swamp, Thoughtseize. Bobble first so I know what they're drawing as well. That gives me the most information when it's time to seize. Okay. Ephemerate, white card. So there is a Solitude scam available. If I take this Quantum Riddler, what does that look like? And I think Quantum Riddler is the better card in their hand. I will take that. Bobble draws Goyf. Backstreet's back. Dumped Faithful Mending. Okay, so I can Emperor of Bones right now, and they would have to scam Solitude to fight it. I think I'm okay with that. Just force this to cost you multiple cards. Like, it's all of the cards, all of the non-land cards in their hand. They'd have to pitch Teferi to Solitude, then cast Ephemerate, and then their hand is 2 polluted deltas. Who gives a shit? They've come to the same conclusion. A beginning of combat. I'll move there first in case they want a removal spell. Target the Faithful Mending. And then I would like to Quantum Rizzler. They could Solitude in response to kill this. Like the Solitude plus Ephemerate kills both of them. But still, I'm drawing cards here and making your life hard. Successfully entered combat. Bobble. If I play out Nethergoyf, my opponent gets the full Ephemerate value, which is what I'm trying to avoid here. The opponent is fetching a Surveil land, probably, which is why I waited on the Bobble. Kept a card on top. What do you like? What do you got? Another Riddler. Okay. It's a good scam. We are probably going to see Quantum Riddler arrive here. Oh, Teferi. Sure. I don't mind that one bit. Yeah, that bounced Emperor, which resets it and lets me do stuff. Teferi is spent. Kind of Fatal Push flooded here. I think Teferi turns this off. Yeah, you exile it, then cast it transformed. So I don't actually have an invasion for Hexmage line here. I think I'm going to fetch for an Overgrown Tomb first. And I could get Soulless Jailer with my invasion. But that doesn't really stop anything that's happening. It can stop Ephemerate next turn. I'm going to Rumble. That lets me cast the most spells this turn. Rumble found Overlord of the Baelmerk. I like that one. And then I've got an Emperor of Bones, pre-combat. Move to beginning of combat. I could exile my own Fairy Macabre to literally do anything. I could also just bonk my opponent's graveyard a little bit. I think I'm going to do that. And then second main, Nethergoyf. The way this game played out, I wish I had played this Nethergoyf last turn, but also I knew my opponent had the ability to just wrath my board if I did. They kind of had it both ways. I was not expecting this Teferi to be cast, though. That's very strange to me. Okay, Wrath of the Skies is here. That's a bunch of dead creatures. Could have been cast as an instant. Who needs it? I will impend an Overlord. Get back Emperor of Bones. Do I want them hard casting Solitude on my Emperor? I guess it's fine. This double P land is cooking my ass at this point. Emperor of Bones, exile, Wrath of the Skies. Yeah, Fatal Push always super tricky versus decks that have both Psychic Frog and Atraxa in them, because there's this whole half of the deck where my card just isn't doing anything. And now that Overlord's been in play for a turn, I can give it fake haste. All right. Oh, Frog, we did it. The 2 Fatal Pushes might even draw out the Ephemerate to save it. Okay. Solitude pitching Ephemerate. All right. So they're going to Quantum Riddler to draw 2 cards. Sure. I accept. Okay, Riddler's going to end up in Warp. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand. Me drawing a land here would be pretty huge. Another Fatal Push. Cool. That's definitely what I wanted. Not. The opponent can cast Quantum Riddler next turn. I could Surgical Solitude to see what the landscape looks like. I could also do that next turn. No rush. I'm probably going to Fatal Push and cast Nethergoyf this turn. Fatal Push that Frog. Can I push that Frog? Okay. Cast a 5/6 Nethergoyf. The Fairy could bounce it. Surveil land. Yeah, it's really not ideal that I've taken like 12 damage from my own lands. My opponent's done 0 to me and I'm at 12. Or I'm at 8. I've taken 12. One of those is Thoughtseize. I'm happy with that one, but the Pete lands are tough. Opponent's also at 7 over there, though. They have been taking chunks as well. All right, bounce my Goyf. Teferi is now not gaming. Quantum Riddler draws 1 card. Oh, there's the land I wanted last turn. Yeah, Quantum Riddler, big problem. It's big enough to just beat Overlord in combat. I don't have a removal spell for it. There's no, like, Ravenous Chupacabra, Shriekmaw in the deck that I could get with Invasion. Invasion does have Reach, the creature mode of this. If I Surgical Extraction and then tap out for this thing, I'm at 4, but I could see what's in their hand along the way. All right, I am going to, or it costs the same 2 life to shock in Overgrown Tomb here that it does to alt cast Surgical Extraction. So I'm going to hard cast Surgical Extraction. This develops my mana while costing me all the same damage. Okay, opponent has a Mending, a Goryo's, and a Frog in their hand. In the deck, we've got Prismatic Endings, Thought Seizes. So it's only Prismatic Ending for removal left. Okay, those cards are gone. And I go to 4. Invasion of Ikoria. I'm also just completely cooked by Faithful Mending hitting in Atraxa here. The Vampire Hexmage is in play. Pass the turn. I'm currently safe, but that could change very quickly. Opponent's got a Surveil land they can get, and then Mending, Flashback Mending. They can see a lot of cards this turn. Okay, no Surveil land. They're out of them. That's lucky. Psychic Frog's been cast. That's another route to put Atraxa in your graveyard. Discarded Watery Grave. Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing. They're just dumping their hand to get more out of Quantum Riddler. All right, yeah, so Faithful Mending will draw 3, discard 1. Did you get there? No. Okay, discarded 2 Goryo's Vengeances. That's great news. Okay, have you read the backside of my card completely? Disappointing. Yes, you have. All right. Fair enough. Do I just want to... oh, yeah, they're at fucking 8. That's what this card does. All right, I will unleash Ikoria, cast Zilortha, and now I have this 8-power creature that will deal damage to you whether you like it or not. Attack. Our Faithful Mending puts them to 2, doesn't it? Disappointing. But they have to fetch to do it. Have we seen a basic Plains? All right, I don't think I can actually attack here. And gain 2 life are words on this card. That sucks ass. All right, I am gonna post up. I can win for short next turn with Nethergoyf. It sucks because this gives them a whole extra turn to draw for turn is an extra card. The Faithful Mending's an extra card. Yeah, that gain 2 life clutch. All right, here's a Mending. Ripping through the deck over there. Discarded Atraxa. Did you save a Goryo's after discarding 2 of them last turn? And you must have, because there's 7 mana to just cast Atraxa here, but that also doesn't beat me. So that's... I think I'm going to lose this game by 1 life, but what fun we had along the way. All right, another Goryo's. I guess I can try to draw a card. So I've already used Surgical and Macabre. I don't know what I'm looking for. Couldn't find 1 more damage, I guess. And it really did come down to casting that Nethergoyf. But if I cast Nethergoyf, maybe they just play the game differently. Cool game. Probably a tough matchup, but cool game. On to the next round. I'm excited to be a special guest for the Excalibur Events Niagara Falls weekend, September 25th through 27th, 2026. This event features the pre-modern scaling 25K with $10,000 guaranteed and $5,000 added to the prize pool at 275, 350, and 450 players for a total of $25,000. Gold Border and Collector's Edition cards are legal in this tournament, and you can use up to 10 playtest cards to fill out your deck. Be sure to check the FAQ on the Excalibur website to follow their playtest card policy. This has a chance of being the biggest pre-modern event ever. Sign up now and use code BOSH for $5 off entry. I hope I'll see you there. I'm on the play for round 2. Not going to keep this no lander. 1 lander, triple Nethergoyf. Yeah, let's party. I'll bottom 1 of the Goyfs and just have faith that mana is forthcoming. I would not fault anyone who takes this turn off to fetch Surveil, try to get their 2-drops going. But with 2 things to do for 1, I kind of like just going for it. A Forest. Delighted Halfling. Okay. Is this like Yawgmoth or something? Yep. That attack was free. Nobody's ever blocking there. Missed on the land, but my next land casting Rumble should make the Goyfs huge immediately. Shifting Woodland. Badger Mole Cub. Unless my Nethergoyfs become 3 or 4 power very soon, this is not the kind of deck that's going to lose to Nethergoyf beats. Oh god, another one. Well, I'm out of bluffs to bluff. Devoted Druid is pretty exciting. I feel like I'm going to lose this turn. I just want to see how. White mana, bad news. That's Devoted Druid, or the various things that make Devoted Druid work. Most of them are white. Nature's Rhythm for 2. Yeah, this will get something that makes Devoted Druid go off. Vizier of Remedies works. I just... Sorry for the play out opponent, but let's see what your Nature's Rhythm uses to kill me here. A Rhythm for 2 again, mid combo. Duskwatch Recruiter, okay. So this is just gonna find like Walking Blister or something that kills me. I'm good. I don't need to keep seeing stuff after that. Okay, a creature combo deck, Abrupt Decay for sure, Soulless Jailer for sure. I could see conversations about Children's Edict and Culling Ritual. Ritual might be way too slow against this deck. I think it's a Hexmage. Actually, Emperor of Bones looks kind of mid in what we're doing here. Like, I think my job is to kill my opponent with my aggressive creatures while disrupting their combo. It's kind of a shame because I really like Hexmage, but it really is a trimmable card in the archetype. All right, sorry, second Hexmage. It's you again. Right, some Soulless Jailers and some removal spells coming in. Maybe I go one Soulless Jailer. I can tutor for it if I want it, but I don't know that speed is my concern here, especially now that I know what they're doing and I can mulligan appropriately. There are some things that turn on Devoted Druid that are artifacts and enchantments, which is why I didn't cut Haywire Might. They could even be an Urza Saga deck. I love this. Keep. I'm leading on Moonshadow. Get the beats in. I'll get a Tomb and just begin the smashing. Temple Garden. Birds of Paradise, sorry. That's not a removal spell. Many Trolls of Khazad-dûms. I'm going to cycle one of them to get my basic swamp, then I'll cast Thoughtseize. That leaves my fetch land available to do other stuff later. Cub Rhythm Tyvar. Well, that's a horrifying hand. They have 2 of the card I'd like to take, and the other card I'd like to take you can cast out of the graveyard. I guess it's probably Tyvar, given this information. Yep. All right, yeah, that was a hyper redundant hand, specifically against the card Thoughtseize. Not great for me when Thoughtseize is my primary thing I'm doing. They're going to play 2 Badgermole Cubs this turn, and they might even still Rhythm, or no, they can't still Rhythm after that, but next turn Rhythm is going to be lethal. That escalated quickly. Okay. Cub wakes up one of the lands. Bird taps for 2 now, can play the other Cub, and then Bird and all of their lands each tap for 3 next turn. And then Nature's Rhythm, you can get A and B pretty quickly there. And I appear to be a mana short on this Culling Ritual right now. I'm going to bobble myself. In the market for a Fatal Push. That's not one of those. I could fetch Surveil right now. That probably gives me the most looks. Bobble's not it. Add to the graveyard. Okay. All I can really do is attack for 5 and hope I draw a relevant card from that Bobble trigger. Fetch land. And I had 4 mana for Culling Ritual anyway. I don't think I'm going to get another turn. If I do, though, I'm actually in a pretty good spot. Like, if their hand has A or B, then Nature's Rhythm can get C. Tyvar. But if they need the Rhythm to get A and B, then they might not have an outlet. Like, they need Devoted Druid, something that makes Druid work, and then also something that wins the game. And Nature's Rhythm can be any 2 of those things. Yeah, because now the Druid also has haste. I don't even get a turn out of that. Untap Birds of Paradise. Okay, that's been used. Rhythm for 2 with 2 mana floating. And the Druid also immediately taps for 6 if they needed to, because it can just do that without help from any enablers. 1 card in hand. I just have to hope it's kind of bad. But Tyvar untapping Birds of Paradise makes me think their card is good, because Tyvar could have taken a mill 3 and looked for one of the combo pieces. Right, Rhythm for 2. This is infinite mana if you want it. There you go. Infinite green. If I had a removal spell, I would have used it on Devoted Druid in response to that. So they know the coast is clear. And they're still doing stuff. I hope they just, like, cast a Badgermole Cub or something and pass the turn. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I think that's okay. Right? Now I can Culling Ritual, which will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. And I can use that to cast Overlord of the Baelmerk straight up. And it's like Tyvar versus 2 lands. Right, Troll of Khazad-dûm's gone from my graveyard. Badgermole Cub's bigger. Okay. All right. Yeah, you don't want to attack with that. Then you have to block with Devoted Druid or Vizier, which is not how the game works. All right, draw for turn. This one of Culling Ritual I brought in. Yeah, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. And do I want to do that and then impend an Overlord and see what my other mana can do? Do I just want to play Troll of Khazad-dûm? If I attack and they block with Badger Mole Cub, I only get 6 mana instead of more. Like if they weren't going to block, they would have attacked. Oh, this says Menace, so they'd lose a combo piece. But if they have Agatha Soul Cauldron, they might think that's okay. All right, I will attack. My Menace is exciting. Or would they block Tivar? I'm going to attack Tivar and see if they think they can play without that and just keep all their stuff. Okay, we are getting the double block. And I will put actually all of the damage on Devoted Druid. So I get more mana. You can keep your Badger Mole Cub. Fetch. Basic Swamp. Calling Writ. And I'm going to impend Overlord with 4 mana still available. Because at minimum, that can get back and play Moonshadow. Impend Overlord with black, 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 green floating. Haywire Might not really helping. The Soul Cauldron they can't get back with Tivar. They can get back any other creatures though. All right, that was kind of underwhelming. Mildly wish I had done that differently. But I left the door open. I guess like with Moonshadow, they're guaranteed I could have hard cast the Overlord and just played Moonshadow, and then I have a 5/5 that gets to keep going. Yeah, hard casting the Overlord was the way there. My bad. Tivar still Tivin. Badger Mole Cub. That gives you 4 mana right away. Opponent is in top deck mode, but functionally so am I. My hand is not very good. Useful spell? Oh yeah, that's among the most useful. Okay, Rumble. 3 powerful spells and Nethergoyf. Oh, Nethergoyf to my hand. Was I supposed to actually not take the Nethergoyf and that to make Moonshadow bigger? This Moonshadow whiffing in this deck on a Rumble is pretty tough. There is a Mortuary in my deck. Moonshadow can grow to 3 on board. And if I happen to surveil... Oh, wait, no. I'm out of Mortuaries. One got milled over randomly. Disappointing. Okay. Oh, we're blocking with Cub, too. Okay, fetch. Yeah, I am out of Mortuaries. Unfortunately. Okay. So is it better for me to kill the Cub or kill both lands? Opponent can get back another Cub next turn. So they have 2 mana. Like, if I blow up the lands, they have 2 mana, get back Cub, then they have 4 mana. If I take out Cub and land, they have 2 mana, get back Cub, you have 4 mana. It's the same. So does the forest being bigger matter to me? And there's a second Cub in the graveyard anyway. Yeah, I think I'll take out the Cub and the Temple Garden. You get your Temple Garden back. You got Nethergoyf. It's a 5/6. That good chance I was supposed to mill over that turn. So that block is the same, whether my creature has 3 or 4 power. Not punished, though I still may have wanted to consider that. If Tivar minuses again, it's gone. And then we're just playing to the board. All right, Tivar has been spent. Sylvan Safekeeper and another Vizier of Remedies milled. This is the last shot of whatever this is. And Nethergoyf, 5/6, pretty big body. Overlord ticking down. Oh no. If they want the Vizier back, that is concerning to me. Yep, that is what that means. Okay, infinite mana starting next turn is now available. Come on, deck. A good card. That's not it. Okay, I'll attack. Yeah, strongly, of course, regretting not playing the Overlord for 5/5 mode. I think they'd be dead by now if I had done that. But also, I have so many things I could have milled off that Overlord that would have been better than playing an Overlord in a Moonshadow that turn. And it's more of just a gamble than a gamble that didn't work out. And maybe I'm just not supposed to gamble in a spot like that. A Delighted Halfling I don't care about, but it does block Nethergoyf for a turn. which is kind of the game we're playing. My opponent's in the Abyss, but they do have 2 easy blockers before they run out of life points and have to make a hard decision. I'm going to fetch just to get stuff out of the way. Besiege you. I don't think that helps me. Yeah, I can't even besiege you, their animated land, to delete a blocker temporarily because that land is basic. Unless Agatha's Soul Cauldron becomes essential to their win condition. I did not find any help there. Overlord wakes up at the end of my next turn. The battle, the invasion of Ikoria, wins the game on the spot because I can make Nethergoyf deal damage as though it was unblocked by getting Hexmage. Uh-oh, a legendary black spell. Is Tivar? It is indeed. There's not currently a kill me card in the graveyard. There's no Duskwatch Recruiter. Mill 3 cards hit Grist and Walking Ballista. So Ballista does not come back with a counter on it. That being in the graveyard actually cuts off a bunch of my opponent's outs. But this Tivar does make blockers for the rest of Infinity. Not literally Infinity, but enough that it's going to be really annoying. Okay, Vizier of Remedies getting a taste. Get in there. I have done a lot of damage to myself. It is my lot in life to do that. Come on, good spell. Thoughtseize. I think if my opponent had something worth Thoughtseizing, they would have done it already. All right, attack my opponent's life points. They're at 5. I'm not messing around with Tivar. Cub dies again. End of turn, Overlord wakes up. And now I've got real stuff cooking if I get another turn, which is always the big if. End step, making mana. They had like a Beseiju or some shit the whole time, waiting to kill my Overlord. Nightmare. Nightmare! Okay. They can attack me for 4. It's not enough. Shifting Woodland can become stuff in their graveyard. Becoming Walking Ballista just dies immediately. That doesn't matter. They can also activate this multiple times in a row. Like, this isn't activate as a sorcery. It doesn't tap to activate, which means Beseiju still doesn't do anything, even though they're about to kill me with a land. Maybe if they turn Woodland into Soul Cauldron, but do they even need to do that? Does that do anything? I don't think it does. Woodland is becoming Soul Cauldron. Okay. Oh, this gives their creatures the abilities of Walking Ballista. All right, that's fine, because Beseiju now is on, and once the Soul Cauldron's tapped, it's too late. All right, I have to act now, because once the Ballista's in exile, this already has a +1 counter on it, and there's not even any sub-game to play. All right, we've both cooked each other with a Beseiju this turn. Now what? They've probably got a nice Surveil land to help them smooth out here. Yeah, there it is. But this is not optional, so Ballista's now in exile, which means they have to find a way to combo me out, even if they do have infinite mana. And you can attack me for 5 and then untap your forest with Tivar right now, and that actually does win the damage race. All right, just taking 2 damage. I'll allow it. All right, deck, big draws, big draws. Nurturing Peatland, or redraw. I'll take it. Big draws, big draws. Fatal Push qualifies as a big draw, I think. Okay, I'm going to attack my opponent. You're in the Abyss. The forest is going to go here. The Tivar being at 2 loyalty is pretty annoying, because I can just get the Druid back. Tivar minus. Okay. What are we doing with that? Do I push the Devoted Druid in response? No, they can make Infinite Green in response. Fuck, there's the Duskwatch Recruiter. All right, yeah, it just doesn't matter. There was nothing I could do if they hit Duskwatch Recruiter here. Well, I guess I have to let them flip their deck, and I'm actually going to push Recruiter right now and make them do all of it. And I do feel just a little bit bad about making them play this out from here, but with Walking Ballista in exile, I do need to see what they're going to do. And if the answer is just like flip all the creatures in my deck, then cast them all, I get a turn to play through that, and I have cards that can win through any number of blockers in my deck. Like, I have a single card I could draw 2 copies of it that do that. Or a Boroid. That's a cool card. Like, the way I could have avoided this is by pushing the Devoted Druid on either my own turn or in the upkeep, but then Tivar could have gotten it back. So rolling the dice on Tivar misses or they have to bring back another Badgermole Cub or something, and then I can break up the combo forever. And it's just, do I think your top 3 cards have this? And it's way better for me if they do. I'm going to play to that scenario. And if they show me a Ballista or a Crater Hoof or something that wins right now, I'll just concede. Endurance. Yeah, none of these cards stop me from winning with Invasion of Ikoria if I rip it. Ouroboros gets an attack for 2, 3, 4 in. Opponent says they have Crater Hoof in hand. They do have 1 unknown in the hand. And I wish I could just take that on truth. But I gotta see it. And they have more than enough creatures and material and mana at this point to just cast 2 Delighted Halflings, Ouroboros, and Hoof, and then the game is over. Like, it's not even much of a shortcut. You can choose to stop Dutch Watch recruiting whenever you want and cast your Crater Hoof. It's gonna work. It's crazy how much of my opponent's deck is just legal and standard, too. In the engine itself, the Devoted Druid and Tivar are not, but you can do almost this in standard with the Nature's Rhythms and the Badgermole Cubs. Why would you type I have Hoof in hand into the chat and then continue to take game actions that are not casting Crater Hoof? It's not that I think they're lying, it's just that this is a completely optional waste of time if what was said is true. Okay, they've decided they have enough things to let the recruiter die. But all in all, at the end of this chain of events that's occurring, it really was that calling ritual turn. If I had just taken my bird in the hand instead of chasing 2 in the bush. My opponent's been at 5 for like 3 turns now and chump blocking with just enough creatures to keep their combo intact. If I had 2 5/5s all those turns ago. And obviously if they had Beseiju all along, then it wouldn't have worked. But that might have been just a poor decision or a greedy decision for me. All right, here comes all the creatures. Maybe they're just going for the high score on Crater Hoof. It's not required to have your whole deck in play to cast that card, but it is cool. And Crater Hoof or a Boroid into Crater Hoof, which is another part of the standard deck, is awesome because the Hoof buffs the Ouroboros and the rest of your team, and then Ouroboros buffs your whole team forever to the size of Crater Hoof. Right, there's the Boroid, and the 1 unknown card in hand was Hoof all along. Okay. GG. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the play in round 3, and I should probably mulligan. There's 21 lands in the deck plus 2 trolls, or is it 3 trolls? I think it's 2. Yeah, 21 plus 2. So I have 22 good draws from here. And I do have Thoughtseize, Push, and Goyf that can play, but I will mulligan. I will accept my lesson from the previous round, where I didn't and got punished. Alright, we've got the Baelmerk scam here. First time that's come up. Push March Flats to the bottom, because I'm just going to play Mortuary. Don't need to fetch for it. Moonshadow. Alright, that's too late. I'm going to be spending mana better than that moving forward. Shivan Reef. So this is probably some red Eldrazi deck. There are not very many reasons to play this card in Modern, unless you need it specifically colorless and one of these colors of mana together. Turn 1 Pithing Needle. Name Vampire Hexmage, delete my account. A Bloodstained Mire. That's an interesting fetch land to name. Not saying it's wrong, but I guess what bet are we making? Okay, Overlord of the Baelmerk. Emperor of Bones. Though, if I take Moonshadow, I can guarantee do 2 things next turn. I'll take Shadow. That gets the biggest next turn, Like, I could take Emperor of Bones now, surveil the battlefield, and then Overlord could play Moonshadow second main. Oh, good. They have the entire combo. But I'm glad a bunch of these zeros were not cast last turn, or were cast last turn. Okay. Moonshadow, go in. Glad you didn't name Verdant Catacombs with that fetch land, because I've drawn 2 of them. Hexmage, wake up Overlord, grow the shadow. Overlord's awake, attack, hopefully grow the shadow. Mill, shadow grows. Do I want Hexmage? I think I want Emperor of Bones. Or though Hexmage does grow the Moonshadow. All right, I'll take Hexmage. And we are in a race to the end here. Opponent's got their engine online, but so do I. Who can actually... It's up to my opponent to continue doing things here. If they do have just like a number of artifacts and some mana, they can get control of the situation. If they don't have that, though, I don't need to get control of the situation. It's their problem to solve right now. I'm going nuts. And if I can Assassin's Trophy their weapons manufacturing in an opportune moment, that's something that could take over the game as well, or collapse their engine. Oh, we're getting capped. I saw you tap that Pithing Needle. Magic Online doesn't let you pretend. I wonder, and judges out there in the chat, you can answer my question. Can I tap a Pithing Needle, like pick it up with my hand, turn it sideways, as long as I don't announce like, and I'll use Pithing Needle to pay, maybe. Like, I know I can't lie, but are there rules about how I'm allowed to just pick up and handle my game pieces if in real life I was going to bluff casting a Kappa, then change my mind? I'm not sure. Okay. We don't need to keep talking about that. So, do I want weapons manufacturing or Claws of Gixted? It's got to be weapons manufacturing, right? Yeah, that's the good one. And I think what I'd like to do here is fetch for... Oh no, my forest got milled? Luckily, it doesn't matter. Okay. I was going to get my forest, but it both doesn't matter, and it's fine. So Overlord could block. So if I blow up weapons manufacturing, opponent has an attack for 6, and they can blow up engineered explosives to deal another 4 to me. I think I would like to Overlord here. Cast with Impending. I'm trying to get Moonshadow to the roof. Emperor of Bones to my hand. And then attack for 6 with Moonshadow. This one cannot be blocked. And I'm going to trophy the manufacturing before that does too much more. Basic island unlocked for my opponent. I have a lethal attack next turn. Can they kill me first? That's the whole game right now. Oh, come on. Settle down. All right, well, playing that from hand, they need another mana for engineered explosives to do its thing. This is 8 damage now. Is Mox Opal lethal? It's pretty close. Mox Opal would 10, and oh yeah, Mox Opal's lethal if they have another one. Maybe just don't. How about that? Okay, no attack. Well, can I figure this out? Opponent is functionally at 10, because Claws of Gix can gain 1 life, sacking 1 munitions, and deal 2 to something. Moonshadow's an unblockable 6, and then I have 2 other 5s. Okay. I'm going to play Vampire Hexmage around Metallic Rebuke. I can pay for that. I have the 3. And Hexmage is better here than Emperor, because if they rebuke Emperor, even if I can pay, I don't have mana left to Emperor. But I don't need mana to continue, or to Hexmage. And they've conceded! Wow, clutch. That was really close. These culling rituals are coming in. That's what they're for. Vexing Bauble's a lot worse on the draw, but it does mess up a bunch of their stuff. Haywire Might looks good. Pick your poison, sacrificing an artifact of their choice. That doesn't seem like it does anything. An enchantment of their choice. They probably only have 1. But they don't have flying creatures. Edict is good versus Kappa. There's a bunch of stuff built around the card Pinnacle Emissary here, where if I'm on the play, Fatal Push and Thoughtseize are both kind of interesting, but on the draw, they're kind of bad, where my opponent might just already have 9 power in play or something and pass the turn, and then I'm on Wrath or Bust, and Fatal Push is not going to help. I think A, Pick Your Poison is better than A, Thoughtseize if I'm boarding out a good chunk of both. I think I do believe that. Okay, here we go. Many cards in my deck better on the play than on the draw, which is always true, but especially true here. Yuck. I do like this hand, but not in this matchup and not on the draw. I will keep this one, and is it the forest that goes? I do have this troll that's actually pretty nice. Yeah, I think it's forest. Yeah, that's okay. I can turn 1 Moonshadow, turn 2 cycle troll, cast Nethergoyf. Here's Emissary. This is the thing they do. The question is, what's the follow-up? Oh god, a second Emissary? Alright, I have to hope that neither of these last 2 cards in their hand are Kappa Cannoneer. Or I guess it would have to be Mox Opal plus Kappa Cannoneer. Well, there's half the problem. Moment of Truth. Engineered Explosives. Okay. For 1. That is pretty good against my hand, actually. But that wasn't Kappa Cannoneer, so I'll take it. Alright. I think I have to get Basic Swamp here, even though that sucks for me. Yeah, 8 is a lot of drones. Urza Saga off the top. Sure. That's fine. That's cool. What the hell? Where did this come from? All right. That is the Affinity Nut Draw. That is why people register this deck. All right. On the draw, or on the play, Thoughtseizes come in. That's way better than Pick Your Poison. Fatal Push can clear a Pinnacle Emissary if I have a fetch land and I don't have a spell to cast on turn 1. I think Vexing Bauble is doing enough here. What else do I cut to make room for my Thoughtseizes? Yeah, a Hexmage can usually go. That's life. Emperor of Bones, this is not a matchup it thrives in. I do need to keep my density of permanents and creatures up for Overlord and Rumble. Maybe I shave 1 Bauble because I have Vexing Bauble, like shave a Mishra's because I have Vexing. I would like to play first. I would like to keep this hand. Thoughtseize versus Vexing Bauble is actually really interesting, but I think I am going to lead on Vexing Bauble. 7 cards in that hand. All right, I'm nervous, but let's do it. Overgrown Tomb, Vexing Bauble. I hope that ruined your hand. Steam Vents tapped. Great. That's what I was looking for. That 1 turn to breathe for me to cast Thoughtseize. Maybe I can cast 2 of them. Thoughtseize. Tell me the rest of the story. All right, Kappa's gone, and weapons manufacturing are gone. So this is when a non-token artifact enters. All right. Oh, do I actually have to respect weapons manufacturing here? I'm definitely taking Kappa. And these claws are not going to enter. Urza Saga is not a non-token. I think I'm going to just cast Haywire Might. They're not showing me an answer to Haywire Might, and it's a smooth answer to the Urza Saga, which is the card in their hand I care about. There's Saga. There's Manufacturing. I don't really want to Thoughtseize their hand anymore. Drawing a tapped land stinks. That means I can't Rumble and deal with Urza Saga. Mortuary. Nethergoyf. I could cast that from my graveyard. Or I'm just going to put that on top. And I'm going to cook this Urza Saga right now. And I don't think I want to Thoughtseize this hand. The next turn I can go Rumble plus Nethergoyf, and I'm doing real damage. Spirebluff Canal. I did not know about that one. Pinnacle Emissary. Okay. So they get 1 munition, and then they can delete Claws of Gix into the void to turn them into drones. I'm okay with that. All right. And then they can play Pinnacle Emissary next turn. And now their hand is 2 lands, so I'm going to break my Bauble. It's done its job. Rumble. I'll take the land that doesn't hurt me. And add Nethergoyf to the board. It's pretty big. Pass. Island. We'll probably see the Emissary. There it is from the void. And now the race is on. Mortuary. I do not want a peatland. Binning, that's the same as drawing it and using it, except costs less mana. Okay, I'm going to attack for 4 and then cast Troll of Khazad-dûm. and hope that my opponent simply never draws the card Engineered Explosives or Claws of Gix, which I guess my bauble would have prevented, but this is also how I got where I am in the game. Fiery Islet. I hope they pop that off immediately. I do love how many choices this deck gives. In all of the games so far, win or lose, I have made choices. Oh, come on! Why? All right, what is this? This is 6, 7, 8 damage right now. Oh, Galvanic Blast. Those are your 2 cards in hand? Those were the cards you had? All right, good game. Oh, whatever. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 4. I'll keep my hand. It does some stuff, albeit slowly. Undercity Sewer. Show me the Atraxa. All right, just a polluted Delta. The way this league's been going, I just assume everyone has whatever kills me the hardest at all times. I drew a good card, though. Something to do on turn 1. Another Goyf. We're in there. Dark Slick Shores. All right, so this is probably some frog deck. And there is a frog. Confirmed. That's not a Fatal Push. I could Assassin's Trophy this frog and just keep pushing. That sounds right to me. These decks usually have Force of Negation in them because they're dedicated to resolving frog, but letting them untap into Counterspell is even worse. Yeah, Force, Pitch, and Counterspell. See, they just have it all, always. And that's fine. That is what their deck's built to do. And now we're going to see if them drawing extra cards by attacking into my Nethergoyf overcomes the amount of damage Nethergoyf does. Fatal Push makes that race a lot easier. I think it's safe to say. A frog has hit me. Hexmage. That's something. Okay, I can Bone Zone here. Yeah, flush out a counterspell, and then next turn, try to invade Ikoria. Fetching their 4th mana right away. That's scary. What's happening pre-combat that we'd need to do that? I just don't want to draw basic island. Also a reasonable take. Tassiger, Golden Fang, let's go. Opponent on the spice. I appreciate it. Undercity Mortuary fetched in the end step. I'll grab a backup invasion. I'll try to invade Ikoria more than once. I'm not embarrassed about my invasion plans. Okay. Invasion of Ikoria, X equals 2. It is important to remember versus Counterspell and Subtlety decks that you cast the backside of invasion, or it just gets Force and Negation on the way down. Oh, Sink into Stupor also plays. Okay. The tempo game, fully operational. Frog and Tassiger coming in. I'm at 9. And 5 mana being spent on... What are we spending 5 mana on? Quantum Riddler. The full hard cast with 1 card in hand. This is beautiful. Okay. So now I could invade for 1 and play Hexmage from hand. Right, invade for 1. I'll grab a Nethergoyf or something. Nethergoyf as a 2/3. And then I'll play Hexmage from hand. If they've got the Subtlety, they've got me, but Subtlety was going to get me anyway. Alright, pass the turn. Orcish Bowmasters. Killing my Hexmage. Alright, I'll do the thing. Is there a counterspell in your hand, or do I have an 8/8 reach to shut the game down? My opponent actually has so much power and toughness that they might just be able to beat Zilortha, or even just Doomblade. There's a lot of options here. This is a legendary creature. I can't make 2 of them, which isn't really fair, if you ask me. If my opponent attacks with all their stuff, I'll block Psychic Frog with Goyf and Riddler with Zilortha. It would cost them cards from hand for Frog to beat Nethergoyf, and I'm much less worried about Tasker than I am about Riddler. Oh, yep, that is a 2-drop. Gross. All right, you win. Not coming back from that. Okay, that's what happens when Psychic Frog sticks and then multiple tempo objects follow it up. That same game where Psychic Frog doesn't stick is a game I'm happy with. Vexing Bauble, I don't think I'm bringing it in here. They do have forces of negation and probably subtlety, but I've got Zalorthas, and I'm not really turning off their normal spells. Generally, I'm happy to go 2 for 1 with anything out of this deck. It's just whether or not Psychic Frog is currently beating my ass in the background. I don't think I need Haywire Might. And sorry, Hexmage, it's always you, buddy. Light sideboard. I will keep this. It's got engines to set up. It doesn't answer Frog. Not right away. Bauble, you. Oh, there's a Frog. Good to know. Abrupt Decay. We did it. Frog's covered. Don't Thoughtseize me. Tameo. That card's also allowed. Mortuary. Finds Thoughtseize. That's so annoying. That card will eventually be good, but right now, I don't want it. All right, well, I got to make the correct decision and still end up with the card. Good job, me. Pat myself on the back for that one. I'm going to play Overlord this turn and get that ticking Nethergoyf to my hand. This gives me rips like Hexmage to go nuts. It's also just a way to go up a card and present a future problem when what I'm likely to be doing for the next couple turns is dealing with Psychic Frog. Tameo's in. Blue to Delta. This is the requisite mana to cast Psychic Frog, if that's what they want to do. I'm looking for a land myself. Bauble. Disappointing. A Bauble you. Drawing an island. And I could Thoughtseize plus Nethergoyf here. Do I think that's better than Abrupt Decay? It might be. Alright, I will try to get on the board at least a little bit. Bowmaster and another frog and a counterspell. I'll take the extra frog and get Nethergoyf in. The spell I want to cast is uncounterable. Do you want to tap out to Bowmaster for 1 extra point? I don't think that's a good play. Alright, opponent agrees. We've got full information here. They have to discard a card in order to jump frog in order to draw 1 card. But they can flip Tameo this turn if they're willing to do those things. The Undercity Sewer, the card was so good to keep on top that it wasn't worth jumping the frog. Tameo making a clue. I'll block this frog so freaking fast. We're still in the attack step. They're deciding what the move is. It does tap you out a counterspell. Okay. Discarding island. I assume we're going to see a jump then. Yep. Okay. Story checks out. This is the second draw of the turn, and it's a card that was kept on top. It's a card that's better than Basic Island, which I suppose is not a high bar to clear. Okay. Leaving up counterspell rather than flipping Tameo. I think I'm actually going to leave Goyf back, because if I can walk my opponent into over discarding or like doing too much to jump the frog, that's pretty good for me. Unfortunately, there are 2 engines running right now, Tameo and Frog. Otawara, deployed as the land drop. A frog does want to fight. Does it want to jump? It does not. Okay, block. 1 discard, and they bounce. 2 discards, and you win the fight. I can surveil. No, I can't. I'm very good at randomly milling my mortuary. All right, I don't have a surveil. Discarding Bowmaster. All right. Like to see that one go. Oh, Kaito. Okay. Well, here's Kaito. Now what's happening? All right, I'm taking some damage. I don't need to respond to Frog anymore. Surveil 2, so they're still trying to draw cards with Kaito. We're digging for a Fatal Push? What's the play? Dumped Force of Negation, kept another card. And replay Tameo. Now I actually have decisions to make. If I Abrupticate Tameo, I can kill Kaito in combat. Oh, I can do that anyway with Troll of Khazad-dûm. Alright. Swamp Cycle Troll. Get Basic Swamp. Fetch for Abrupt Decay. Or fetch for the mana to play Abrupt Decay. Decay the Frog. 5/6 Nethergoyf. Oh, and I drew Hexmage, and I was going to think about that. And now, because Hexmage also kills Kaito. Okay, I'm going to lead on Emperor of Bones. Or should I attack? I should Emperor of Bones first. If there's a subtlety, I suspect this will draw it out. I'm actually going to exile their Orcish Bowmaster, because it's not my plan to kill Kaito with that. And I want to attack with Nethergoyf at Kaito first, and hopefully I get to kill Tamio and Kaito this turn. Or, man, I just dummied it again. I got so excited about the Planeswalker part that animating Overlord also kills Kaito. All right, I had like a million ways to kill Kaito there. Good to know. All right, that was a good turn. Dealt with all of the stuff I was dealing with on a turn where they tapped out of Counterspell. They do have 5 actual cards in hand, plus 2 clues to crack. Quantum Riddler, there's that one. Okay. I can do Emperor of Bones stuff. It's a 4/6. It's bigger than I want. I could Invasion of Ikoria. Okay, I think I know what I want to do. I'm going to invade for 2, get Hexmage out of my graveyard, wake up the Overlord, begin combat, exile Psychic Frog from my opponent's graveyard, and do I want to attack my battle or attack their face? I think I'm trying to attack their face. Attack you, and I can get back Hexmage again, or nope, I can cast this Nethergoyf. Okay, I am just flinging damage at the wall here. That's my way to win this game. They're a tempo deck. I currently have the tempo. As long as they don't have Time Walk, it should be okay. All right, go. All in. And Troll of Khazad-dûm can join the attack next turn with Emperor of Bones. 4 cards in hand. One of them's Counterspell I don't care about. Nile Spellbomb doesn't matter. Or I guess it fogs my Nethergoyf, so it matters a little bit. But Overlord will trigger before damage is done. Second Riddler draws 1 card. 2 4/6s. Interesting damage race we find ourselves in. Okay, so I'm gonna Impend an Overlord pre-combat. This should grow my Goyfs and give me some Emperor fodder. That Hexmage does not... Oh, I have freaking Zolortha over there. And none of these are humans. Invasion on no counters. Fire up the dragon. Or the dinosaur, whatever this is. Probably a dinosaur. Yeah, dinosaur. And then combat. These can all deal damage as though they're not blocked. Exile your Tamio. Final disrespect from the Emperor of Bones on the way through. Cool. Yeah, they had a really nice tempo game going with Counterspell up and just kind of blinked for a turn and it was gone. Yeah, with the Riddlers, I think I want my poison in. Riddler and Tamio are both cards that I would like to poison. Emperor was nice, but I think I can live without it, and -1 bauble. Okay, 1 lander on the draw, and I can surveil in between. I'm going to roll the dice on this one. I'm not going to play Nethergoyf. I will... Well, I have a draw step first. If I draw a land, I'll play Goyf. If I don't, I'll surveil and try to just double Goyf on turn 2. I think with 22 hits on the draw and multiple looks, I have to roll the dice on this one. Thoughtseize. I do like that card. I won't be casting it yet. It's not always right to cast Thoughtseize early against blue counterspell decks. Sometimes you want to cast them on turn 5 so you can then spend 4 mana on other stuff on the same turn. Psychic Frog, the reason for the season. Fetch, surveil, please show me a land so I can play the game. Malevolent Rumbles, not it. Moment of Truth. Punished so hard. I guess I'll play Nethergoyf here. Obviously, now that I see that I've missed a land drop after looking at 3 cards, I wish I had just Thoughtseize their Psychic Frog to buy more time. But I'm not going to play to not lose. You play to win. At 22 out of 50 cards in my deck, that's just under half. So just under 1 and 2 cards in my deck is a land, and I looked at 3 cards without seeing one. So, like, you know, sometimes you run below expectation. But also, if you just mulligan every hand that looks like this, you'll lose a lot of games that math might indicate that you're supposed to keep that hand. I will block here. It'll cost them 2 cards to win the fight, and then Children's Edict. I am drawing alive too. A swamp to match. Are we trying to win? And island to win. All right, swamp to match, island to win the fight. Down 2 cards, but have a reasonable sized creature in play and another of the same. Disappointing. And there's Moonshadow. I'll play now a slightly bigger Nethergoyf. Hopefully this one has a chance to challenge the second frog. Watery Grave, slammed. Is this untapped? If this is untapped, it's probably a pre-combat Kaito, and then just going nuts. Or some removal spell with counterspell still up. Drown in the lock. All right, I'm not going to beat Double Frog from this far behind. Disappointing, but I looked at 4 cards without a land when about half my deck was lands. I would keep that hand again. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in the final round, trying to fend off the reverse trophy, which is kind of a bummer because I actually do think this deck is good. And they've kind of had a league where almost every decision was punished at all times, or it was like, okay, I know my opponent's hand as long as they don't have X, and then they do X. But we've gotten to make a lot of really cool decisions and a lot of cool plays, trying to put the toolbox together. I like it. Thoughtseize, sure. Do they want to take the unique effect in my hand or start collapsing my card advantage or card selection with Rumble, going after one of the Rumbles? Okay. That tells me they're a deck that isn't worried about Fatal Push. Okay, Rumble, Moonshadow, Netherglyph. Netherglyph is already 3-4 or 4-5. Yeah, all right. Netherglyph is just bigger than Moonshadow here. And that's the only calculation to make. Cycling Street Wraith. So are we Death Shadow? Yeah, I have to be Death Shadow. Living End can't play Thoughtseize. Okay, so this is a Death Shadow deck. I know Corey Baumeister made a run at an RCQ with Death Shadow this past weekend, and he tweeted it out, and a lot of people are excited because this is a card that, or a deck that Sweaty Grinders like. Going after the Goyf with Thoughtseize. Still not worried about Fatal Push. Okay, another one of these. I think I should play around Spell Pierce if given the opportunity. Rumble it. I could have just played Netherglyph here, but drawing the Rumble changed my interests in what I'm doing. I think I'd rather have a random draw than a Haywire Might here. And I can still cast Netherglyph. All right, so I will. Lands I have plenty of. This is a creature and an artifact. And then sorcery I have plenty of. Done. Okay, there's the Goyf. My opponent is a Thoughtseize deck. It's probably best to just bobble them in their upkeep anyway. That's tapped Blood Crypt. Okay, upkeep, bobble you. Psychic Frog, my favorite card to play against. I am ready, though. My opponent has not Thoughtseized Fatal Push 2 times, and now they have something that's very pushable. If they've been setting up the whole game to do a Death Shadow thing here, where they Thoughtseize me a 3rd time and then play a Giant Shadow that's just bigger than Netherglyph, that is what this deck does, and that's very cool. Dumped Expressive Iteration. Wow, look at all the good cards in this deck. Cycled Street Wraith. Fatal Push. Disappointing. But at least I can just cast that from the graveyard again and keep being a stinker about it. Bobble gets me an extra card. It's a Goyf. Okay. Here's this thing you know about. What would I have to do to play this card? I have 3 sorceries, 2 lands. It would cost me instant and creature, and it would still be reasonably sized. I'm in. Sorcery, land, instant, creature. Still a 3-4, big enough. And if they kill one of these, the other one will ride. Surprise second Goyf. And the Fatal Push in my hand is an instant. That's a replaceable card type. Fatal Push. That's creature back in the bin. Ragavan. Boring. I don't want to push that one. Oh good, I don't have to. Attack with Netherglyph. Okay, then what happens if I play this Netherglyph now? It's getting pretty scant, if I can even do it. Artifact, sorcery, land. Yeah, I actually can't even do it. I could fetch Mortuary now and see if I roll over something. A bobble. Oh, I will put that in the graveyard, though it still doesn't cast Netherglyph. But luckily Netherglyph does cast Netherglyph, because it's just already a Netherglyph. You see how that works? It passed the turn. I could have pushed the Ragavan and played Netherglyph, but then I have 3 little Netherglyphs and no removal spell. I don't like that better than I like being able to answer a Psychic Frog. Okay, there's Frog. And it can't Spell Pierce me now. Yeah, I guess I'll just push Frog in the end step. They're not showing Counterspell. They can't Spell Pierce. They could Flusterstorm, but I'd be surprised if that's in their deck. I don't want to untap and get Force of Negation. Cool. Nethergoyfs, an unending stream of them. Gets it done. Sheoldred's Edict, I like. Abrupt Decay, I like. And this might look very much like the last round. -1 Hexmage, +2 removal spells. I don't think Culling Ritual's fast enough here. Pick your poison. I don't know if they have Murktide Regents or what they're doing over there, but until I see a reason, I'm not moving in on that. I probably should just look at Corey's Twitter feed real quick and try to answer my question for real. Use my resources. Oh, I'm glad I looked. Quantum Riddler in this deck. 4 of them. And Moonshadow. Alright, Moonshadow doesn't get its poison picked. Is it a Thoughtseize that goes? Yeah, there's not really counterspells in this deck. I see Stubborn Denial, Fatal Push, some Mystical Disputes out of the sideboard that I don't think are going to come in. Yeah, I like +1 pick your poison to respect Quantum Riddler. Last time I was serious about Grixis Death Shadow in Modern, we could have Lurrus as our companion. So having to think about Murktides and Quantum Riddlers and stuff, that's new to me. It's been a while. You're not allowed to play those ones with the Cat Mother. Okay, I like my hand. Nice mix of stuff. You do have to be careful about taking small chip shots on Death Shadow. Like if you have a 2/2 and they're at 14, do you want to put them to 12? That makes their Death Shadow a creature. If they're at 12, do you want to put them to 10? Because that makes their Death Shadow bigger than your 2/2. Sometimes it is about like letting them hurt themselves a little bit and then just attacking with 3 4-power creatures all in one turn. Moonshadow. Okay. The evidence is stacking up. This is probably Corey's list. Do I want to meet you in combat or Thoughtseize you? I want to meet you in combat. Let's party. Having the Malevolent Rumble, just wanting to set that up on the Moonshadow. It's really tempting. I've been pushed. Fetch grows the shadow. Shock down to 14 already. Is there a follow-up? Follow-up Ragavan. Hate that. Okay, I'm going to Rumble this turn. The ramp of Rumble actually does make the Calling Rituals in my sideboard a little more interesting. Maybe I should have some amount of that in. They shock down to 12. Death Shadow's online. It does stink that Zalortha is fatal pushable. That's not where I want to be in life. I think I have to take the damage from Ragavan here because the spawn represents 8/8 unblockable, and just cheeseballing my way out of this game might be my out. Hey, Ragavan hit Verdant Catacombs, not too bad. They did get to ramp a mana though. Death Shadow, 1/1. 1 card left over there. Okay. All I can do is send it. Fetch, have to shock because I need double green. They're not showing, or yeah, they have a treasure, never mind. They are showing a counterspell here. Invasion of Ikoria for 2. Successfully resolved the spell. Am I going to get Consigned to Memory? And they're probably in the list. It would be weird if they're in the deck. Vampire Hexmage is in play, and pass the turn. Hexmage is good here because it's a relevant enough combat object that it can just eat Ragavan or eat Death Shadow in combat, and I don't even need to do the trick. It'll be interesting if my opponent rips off this spell bomb here. That grows Moonshadow and draws a card. Yeah, they're playing like someone who needs a little more. Okay, I'm at 6 on the board because Moonshadow has Menace, and I can only block the bigger of these creatures. Fetch Shock. Death Shadow is now the bigger of the creatures. But there's other risks to letting Ragavan through. Okay. Do they not know I have First Strike? Happy to block. As base level combat words are fun sometimes. Unholy Heat. Okay. All right, Ragavan survives. But I do get my 8/8. Zalortha, Apex of Ikoria. But like I said, with the Death Shadow, this is not a lethal attack, which means that Death Shadow, like if I hit my opponent for 8 here, Death Shadow just comes back and hits me for 9. Not a great sequence. Okay, can I win on the spot? No, I can attack for 10 right now, which is not enough. There is another basic swamp in my deck. I think I have to enter the Bone Zone here and just put Hexmage under it. and try to survive this turn so I can win next turn. Right, Hexmage in the bone zone and pass the turn. I don't have an attack. I have 3 blockers, which might not be enough. Oh, or no, these are -1 counters. I got excited for a second. I was like, wait, I can make Moonshadow 1/1 again, but no, it's counting in the other direction. If they drew a removal spell, an instant speed removal spell, that might be good enough. Here is an attack with everybody. Enter the bone zone. Moment of truth. If they can kill Emperor before it gets a counter on it, I am dead. Okay, I got the counter. Emperor and Hexmage are in play now. Okay, move to blocks. Block, Ragavan, Death Shadow, and Death Shadow. I kind of want to take the counters off Emperor, but I guess if I survive the turn, it doesn't matter. All right, Lightning Bolt kills me, but otherwise I have lethal. We did it! Zalortha, too big! The Shadow of Death versus the Apex of Ikoria. Who would win? Okay. Not a stellar record for this one league, but in all of the games I got to make decisions, and some of the decisions were punished right away. Some might have been abjectly wrong, and some might have just been, I played to this 52% situation and the 48% one did. Or just, I hope my opponent doesn't have 12 damage worth of burn in their hand, and then they do off of 2 cards. Like that happened. Remember that? But the deck gives you a lot of cool decisions. Moonshadow is a gas pedal on this deck. I kind of liked it more, like suited my own play style better when it was a mid-range deck. And if you want to search like BoshNRoll, Hexmage, Modern in YouTube, I'm sure they'll all come up, or they're in my Modern playlist if you want to look at the older lists. They're on my Moxfield too. Lots of places you can find those older lists. Because I really like the Esper Blink decks in this format. Like, I'm a big Overlord of the Baelmerk stan, and the more we can lean into that, the better. But Moonshadow and Netherwife also did hard carry a bunch of the wins, and I think just adjusting my own expectations from what this deck used to be to what it is now, where now the best thing you hit off Overlord might just be a Netherwife or a Moonshadow, and you have to accept that. That one game where I could have hardcast Overlord and didn't is the one that's going to haunt me the most, I think, out of this league. And maybe that's thinking about, maybe I'm playing the deck that I didn't build, or maybe I just got punished in that one situation and it is what it is. The deck is sweet though. Vampire Hexmage did multiple different things that were cool here. It's a shame that Emperor of Bones blocking Ragavan was my best block, because using Hexmage that was going to die anyway to reset Emperor of Bones so I could adapt again on the following turn would have been really cool, but I couldn't afford to let Ragavan kill it in combat and actually make that play. Disappointing, but fun. I'm going to leave this one here. Mr. Toots, thanks for sharing it again, as always. Congrats on your recent string of RCQ top 8s playing this deck. Mr. Toots out there, money where his mouth is, by the way, playing this in real life. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I will see you next time.